Tariffs, would you also direct agencies to study the impact they would have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. The United States is going to become a very, very strong economically.
We've been saying it all along. Donald Trump is not well. The oldest man ever elected to the presidency is showing clear signs that his mental sharpness, physical stamina, and grip on reality are slipping. And today, during a press conference that left even his most loyal supporters uneasy, that truth became impossible to ignore. Trump stumbled through his words, slurred sentences together, and lost his train of thought, grasping for ideas that just weren't there. He couldn't stay focused, couldn't deliver a clear message. This wasn't just a bad moment, it was a major warning sign. Yet, the mainstream media, always quick to jump on Biden's every misstep, barely reacted. Why the double standard? Why the silence? We've been warning about this for months. And this isn't just about age. It's about whether he can lead, think clearly, and handle the responsibilities of the presidency. But while the media fixates on Biden, they ignore Trump's clear decline. So today, we're doing their job for them. Before we break down the shocking footage from today's press conference, I need to ask for your support. If you're as concerned as we are, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Your support isn't just appreciated, it's critical. It allows us to keep exposing the truths that others refuse to cover. Now, let's get into what happened today. Trump didn't just struggle, he faltered in a way that should concern every American. But this isn't just about his mental state. It's about the lies, the broken promises, and the betrayal of the very people who trusted him. And before we dive into the most disturbing details of his decline, let's revisit Hakeem Jeffries' powerful words about the MAGA movement and how Trump has let down his most devoted supporters, because this isn't just about one man falling apart. It's about the damage he's leaving behind. Stay tuned. This is a story you won't hear anywhere else.
That grocery prices were going to decline on day one of this administration. On January 20th, grocery prices were going to decline. Why hasn't that happened? In fact, costs are going up, they're not going down. As it relates to groceries, housing, consumer goods, and insurance. Republicans made a lot of promises last year. They spent a lot of time talking about lowering the high cost of living while running away from Project 2025 as if it didn't exist. This year, Republicans have spent all of their time implementing the most extreme parts of Project 2025 and have done nothing, nada, as it relates to the high cost of living. In fact, the Republican budget plan, which represents a betrayal of the American middle class and all those who aspire to be part of the middle class, will hurt working class Americans, hurt middle class Americans, and hurt everyday Americans, children, seniors, and veterans by devastating Medicaid. The Republican Party a few weeks ago promised to love and cherish Medicaid. Cutting Medicaid by close to $1 trillion is an example of loving and cherishing Medicaid. It's an extraordinary statement that was made, and Republicans are doing the exact opposite in their budget markup right now.
Donald Trump was never truly committed to the promises he made. Not during his campaign, not in office, and certainly not now. He never cared about lowering costs, helping everyday Americans, or putting the country first. His entire career, both in business and politics, has been about serving himself. As president, he repeatedly broke his word. But while his failures were predictable, what's happening now is something few could have fully expected. Trump isn't just failing to follow through, he's struggling to hold himself together. His mental sharpness is fading, and it's happening faster than anyone imagined. Today, we're going to show you the moment it all started to unravel. It wasn't just one press conference where he stumbled over his words and lost his train of thought, though that was alarming. The real cracks began to show earlier during a key state visit with India's Prime Minister. Before we dive into that moment, let's step back. Trump's broken promises weren't just missteps, they were intentional. He never planned to put working families first or strengthen the country. His presidency was a show designed to benefit himself and his closest allies. And now, as pressure mounts, he's losing control of the act. In the clip we're about to show, you'll see a turning point. Trump, standing next to one of the world's most influential leaders, visibly struggling to stay focused. His words falter, his composure slips. It's a preview of what was to come. A press conference where everything fell apart. This isn't just about politics. It's about the impact of power, corruption, and unchecked ego. And it's about the consequences of trusting a leader who never had the country's best interests at heart. Stay with us. What you're about to see is more than just a political moment. It's a reckoning.
Then called China, and China was very open to it. And then COVID hit, and then we had a rigged election. But now there was no rigged election. Now we have an election that was too big to rig. That's what my whole theme was, too big to rig. And they tried, but they didn't pull it off.
This was the moment things took a strange turn for Donald Trump. And let's be honest, we've seen this before. Whenever he starts talking about vengeance or obsessing over the past, the anger takes over. And when that happens, he completely loses control. That's exactly what went down during his press conference with India's Prime Minister. It was supposed to be a routine diplomatic event, an opportunity to showcase leadership and strengthen international ties. But Trump couldn't keep it together. Saying he spoke at the event is being generous. What actually happened was something else entirely, disjointed, erratic, and at times, downright disturbing. He veered off script, tangled his words in frustration, and let his emotions spiral. This wasn't a speech, it was a meltdown, and here's the bigger issue. This isn't just one bad moment, it's a pattern. His obsession with revenge, his inability to move on, and his deep-seated grudges are all catching up to him. When that happens, we see him unravel in real time. You need to see this for yourself. What he said, or tried to say, during that press conference is unforgettable. It's raw, unfiltered, and a stark reminder of why so many have been raising concerns about his mental state. So before we show you the footage, ask yourself this. How much longer can we ignore what's happening? How much longer can we pretend this is normal? Watch for yourself and decide. Is this the person we want leading the free world?
We are announcing today the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by two of the most advanced nations intellectually and otherwise technologically. Anywhere in the world, there's nobody very much closer. We have an incredible relationship there, and this is where it seems to be heading. And artificial intelligence, a very complex subject, but it seems to be where people want to be and they want to go, and we're leading right now by a lot, but other people will try to catch us. I don't know if they're going to be able to. We're going to make it available. We're going to make tremendous amounts of electricity available. We're going to let the people that are buying the electricity make their own electric plants, electric generation plants. And we've never done this in our country, but we're going to get it done very quickly. Lee Zeldin and his group are going to get the approvals in very rapid form.
I just wanted to raise this because what we're talking about here is efforts that are trying to end a long-standing bipartisan understanding about our strength as a global leader. And what we are also seeing, and this is something that just feels so personal, is just the demonization of public servants. We can have a debate about foreign aid, but we can do it without demonizing the people who have sworn an oath to this country. Many of them right now working in difficult and dangerous places. Some of them don't know how they're going to get back home right now because of how quickly all of this has been shut off. And what it really just shakes around the world when I hear from leaders in other countries is they say, what is the value of the American handshake right now? And I think that has been detrimentally affected and really negatively affected over the course of the last couple weeks. And with that, I'll yield back.
Mr. President, I rise today because there is nothing that keeps a parent up at night like the health of their child. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you live in the reddest rural areas or the bluest cities. One of the things that bind us as Americans, as people, is that every parent looks at their kids and wants to know that they're doing everything that they can to keep them safe. And let me tell you, that's not an easy task. I'm a father of a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. 2 little boys, and I every day wonder, am I doing the right thing for them? Am I being the kind of father that they deserve? Am I looking out and being thoughtful about what they eat, about whether or not I'm keeping up with their health and that they're exercising? And like most families, I can tell you it's tough to know that you're always doing the best thing for your kids. But like most families, we do what we can. My wife and I, we try our very best. But we don't have all of the answers. I mean, how many parents out there, when your kid gets sick and it's too late in the night to find a way to call the doctor or the nurse, you're trying to figure out where to turn to for information? Where do we go when it is that we feel like we reach the limits of our own personal knowledge?